Hello, I'm Marcus Anderson. This is my speech, Tumor Suppressor Genes, What They Are, and Their Role in Cancer. So I wanted to talk a little bit about tumor suppressor genes. Do you ever wonder what happens within the cells of the human body that causes cancer to develop? Well, tumor suppressor genes play an important part in that. Everybody has known somebody within their life circle or their close knit orbit that has been touched by the disease of cancer. And so everybody could benefit by learning a little bit about what goes on within the human body when this develops. So, as my job in my job as a histologist, we talk a lot of we do a lot of things within the lab that detects these tumor suppressor genes and abnormalities in them in different types of cancers. So we help physicians and oncologists detect and treat these diseases every day, and we detect these by several different types of means in the laboratory. They're an important part of knowing what's going on in different types of cancers. So while they're not known by many people, these genes play an important part when they're functioning normally within the human cell, and when something goes wrong, that can lead to cancer. So we'll talk a little bit about what these tumor suppressor genes are, the normal functions that they carry out within the cells of the human body, what can go wrong, what goes wrong with them, and what happens when there's abnormalities or losses of these genes. And we'll go over a couple types of tumor suppressor genes as well. So tumor suppressor genes are actually normal genes within the cells of the human body that play an important role within the cell cycle when cells are dividing and new cells are growing and being produced. So everybody, if they've had a biology class at some point, has seen the diagram of the cell cycle, the little arrow going around in a circle showing the different phases, G1 phase, S phase, and there's checkpoints within that, if you remember. And one of those checkpoints is G1 S phase. And there's several important tumor suppressor genes that come in to play at that particular checkpoint. So what the tumor suppressor gene actually does, it produces the protein that when it reaches that checkpoint phase, will do a check on the DNA of this cell that's being developed, and will actually tell, it can detect whether or not the cell is healthy and normal, and if it is, it'll allow it to go on through developing and become a new cell. But if there's problems, it will either spur on some repair within the DNA that might be needed, or it will actually initiate apoptosis or programmed cell death and not allow that cell to divide if it's too far gone or beyond repair mechanisms that are available to it. So it's an important part. So, if that cell is damaged beyond repair and there's a loss in that tumor suppressor gene or a damage in that tumor suppressor gene, it may allow an abnormally damaged cell keep growing and growing, and then that's how you get cancer. What cancer really actually is uncontrolled cellular growth. So that's a little bit about the tumor suppressor gene and what actually the role it actually plays and how problems in that can actually lead to the development of cancer. Now, these genes can actually become damaged in many certain ways. It can be hereditary, genetic, or it can also be through causative agents or harmful agents that you expose yourself to. Everybody's seen the warnings on cigarette packages or the fine print, on the commercials for tobacco or alcohol. Well, what is actually happening when you're exposing yourself to these causative agents is the DNA is actually being damaged within the cells of your body. And the DNA that produces these tumor suppressor genes, if they're damaged in some way, the tumor suppressor gene either doesn't develop or doesn't develop properly, part of it is missing, then it will not be able to stop the abnormal cell from growing at a certain point, and then it allows the development of cancer to go on. So UV light is another one of those agents. Tobacco, as we mentioned before, or excessive use of alcohol. Those are all causative agents that can damage the DNA and cause either loss or damage to these tumor suppressor genes and keep them from functioning properly and lead to the development of cancer. Now, there's a couple of well-known tumor suppressor genes I'd like to talk about. One being P53. P53 is present in a lot of type. If there's abnormalities or damage to this gene, it can be seen to occur in lots of different types of cancers, among them lung, liver, colorectal, skin, head and neck. So that's an important one. If you see a loss or a damage in that particular tumor suppressor gene, then some those cancers can be allowed to develop. That's one that you see. Smoking can cause damage to that tumor suppressor gene, and then you can develop lung cancer. So that's a big one that you see. Another one that's been in the news a lot in recent times, and you can get genetically tested for it now, and it can be either hereditary or some chemical agent that can cause an abnormality in this one, but is the BRCA1 gene in breast cancer, especially in females. You can have it be an abnormality, and this can be hereditary or it can be caused by different causative agents. So that's another important one, that if there's a loss or damage in that breast cancer can develop, and it's seen in a very high percentage of breast cancers, especially in younger women. So you can see that these are very important genes, and losses or abnormalities in them can lead to the production of cancer, the development of different types of cancers. So I hope everyone's learned a little bit about that. For a little bit more further information just about tumor suppressor genes in general, Ming Zhao has an excellent article in the Journal of Tumor Suppressor Genes called Epigenetics and Tumor Suppressor Genes. Kostopoulos talks a lot about breast cancer mutations in the BRCA1 tumor suppressor gene in general in their article in Cancers from 2018 called BRCA Mutations in Breast Cancer Prevention. And also Ozaki and Nakagawara talk about P53 and its role in human cancers in the journal Cancers as well from 2011. So I hope everyone's learned a little bit, and thanks for listening.